we're going to try and determine the x-intercepts for this quadratic function. I know it's quadratic because the largest exponent is 2, so x squared lets me know that this is a quadratic. So to find the x-intercepts, I'm going to substitute in 0 for y, and I need to figure out two factors that I can factor this trinomial into. So I'm going to factor the trinomial into two binomials. So there will be two terms in this set of parentheses, two terms in this set of parentheses. Now, because the leading coefficient is something other than 1, in this case the leading coefficient is 5, that means that this factoring is going to be a little bit more complicated. It won't be quite as obvious as when I just have x squared without another coefficient there. But 5 is a prime number, which is helpful here because there's only one possible set of factors that I can use for 5. So it has to be 5x and 1x. 5 and 1 are the only factors of 5. What goes in the other part of these parentheses, so the second term in each binomial, those two numbers have to multiply to give us -8. So I'm going to write down the possible factors of -8 because it's negative. For every pair of factors, I could just switch the sign and have another possible outcome. So I know we have 8 and +1, or sorry, 8 and, let's say 8 and -1, or -8 and +1. I could also have 4 and -2, or -4 and +2. So I can just choose one of them, plug it in, and see what happens. So let's try -8 and 1, for example. So if I plug in a -8 here and +1 here, if I go back through and distribute, will I get this trinomial? Now I already know that when I distribute and do 5x times x, that will give me 5x squared. I already know when I multiply -8 times +1, that will give me -8. So what I really care about here is 5x times +1 and -8 times x. So 5x times +1 is going to give me +5x. -8 times x will give me -8x. When I combine those two terms, do I get the middle term of my original trinomial? Well, 5x minus 8x would give me -3x. So that did not work. I did not get the desired middle term here. So I can try a couple of things now. I can just switch the sign and see what happens. So change this to be +8 and -1. When I multiply, then I would get 5 times -1 is -5x plus 8x, which gives me -3x. So similar to what I got before, but now I have a -3x instead of +3, which still is not what I want. It is not plus 6x. So let's try something else. I could switch 8 and 1 and try putting 1 here and 8 here, but then I'm going to have 5 times 8, which is going to be 40x, which is really big, which seems like it's not really going to work out to give us a 6x when I combine those terms. So let's switch over and try 4 and 2. Let's start with +4 and -2. So when I do 5x times -2, that gives me -10x. +4 times x would be +4x. When I combine these, I get -6x. I'm so close to what I actually want for that middle term. So let's try just switching the signs so that it's +2 over here and -4. Now when I do 5x times 2, that gives me +10x. -4 times x gives me -4x. When I combine those, I get 6x, which is exactly what I wanted to get here. Okay, so I know that these are my two factors. We'll switch to blue. So I'm going to take each factor and set it equal to 0. Move this up a little. So 5x minus 4, I'm going to set equal to 0. And x plus 2, I'm going to set equal to 0. Now this one, I'm not going to get an x-intercept. That's an integer. That's okay. When I add 4 to both sides, I get 5x equals 4. Then I need to divide both sides by 5. So I get x equals 4/5 for one of my x-intercepts. This one's a little easier. I just have to subtract 2 from both sides. So x equals -2 is my second x-intercept. So the coordinates for each of these points would be 4/5, 0, and -2, 0.